Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, David Cup from LocalView Digital Marketing. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I really appreciate that. So, could you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got to this point in your career, and what you're doing right now?
Well, Shannon, thanks for having me. And it's been a journey. I started LocalView about 10 years ago. I started building websites and was having a lot of fun, meeting a lot of people, but recognized having an online business card wasn't enough for small local businesses. So I picked up SEO and got certified with Google as far as their advertising platform and started really to become more of a consultant for small business owners, trying to get them exposure, trying to get them traffic at their website and obviously leads and building their business. So from there, I just, started growing as an agency and had to hire people to help. And I think one of the things that over the years that I try to instill on our team is basically how I started this company, and that is treating folks like they're the center of the universe. It's like we don't charge $275 an hour. We're actually very affordable for small and local businesses like plumbers and therapists, contractors, and they've kind of gotten a bad experience quite often, from larger firms where they're just one in a number of clients and they have to put in requests and they hear back, a couple, 3 days. We're actually answer our phone, answer our text, answer our email. And we actually have a scheduling button that people can just schedule right on our calendar that's open. They can get a hold of us. I think that's really how LocalView kind of took off. And I'm not saying we're huge. We have, like I said, I think we have about 130 clients, and most of those have been with us for a number of years. And so we work really hard for long-term relationships. So that's a bit of LocalView, treating the local business owner with just the utmost quality, respect, and hard work. And that's kind of what we do.
Well, I appreciate that's kind of the foundation of the agency because I do I do hear things like that a lot. You talk to a certain amount of agencies and you hear all these negative things coming from before they get to that agency or whatever it may be. And it makes me disappointed to know that people have such bad experiences in the agency space because I would hope that everyone has good values and wants to treat their clients well, but that certainly is not the case. As there's so many, bad stories going into um working with a new agency. So it's nice to hear that. So
One of the things that we also do is we don't work with our clients' competitors, immediate geographic competitors, because that would be disingenuous. So, and that's a refreshing thing for them, because hey, you're the person we're trying to get on page one in this particular local area, and that for them, I think, is comforting.
yeah, no, I definitely think that's really important. And I don't know if that's always the case, especially for local marketing agencies. And I think it should be because that's kind of it's contradictory to want to place someone as number one and then you're doing the same thing for the same industry. It's impossible, one. And two, doesn't feel very great. Especially, I'm sure that it will definitely leave a certain taste in the client's mouth thinking that maybe if you have more money, that's when you're gonna be the top one or whatever it may be, and that's not how it should be.
Yeah, that's one of the things also is like people are kind of shocked when we tell them we don't have long-term contracts, 30 days notice, because obviously we have to buy licenses of software or whatever. But for the most part, we feel that we should be earning local businesses money because that's how, if you hire a plumber and, they don't fix your sink properly or whatever, it's like you call them back, you hold them accountable. I think the same should be for digital marketing agencies. We should provide return on investment. We should be able to produce results. And if not, you should be able to just easily move on without having to sign a long-term contract and those kind of things.
Yeah, it almost feels like a trick because you can't really um it's not always marketing is kind of a gamble and things aren't always guaranteed and to be able to realize that you're not a good fit for an agency or uh the opposite is nice to be able to determine, and it almost creates a level of trust between you and your client to be able to offer that kind of agreement because they're not bound to something, and if they, worst case scenario, they don't agree with the way you do something or something like that, they can move on and you give them the ability to do that. It also shows confidence in your work that they will continue to work with you anyway. Um
Yeah, there's a term in the industry which I hate. It's called churn, where people just hire a digital marketing firm and they spend a bunch of money and then it doesn't work out in 3 or 4 months and then they move on. And yet that agency then through a retainer, still makes a good profit and it's kind of sad. So where we're at is we try to be as upfront as possible. Like, for instance, when you're doing advertising, we try to do our homework and say, well, okay, so your competitors are spending, let's say, 3 or 4 thousand dollars a month, and with a budget of 1,000, I mean, we're still going to get you exposure. We're still going to get traffic to your website or to your landing page or to your social page or whatever your intentions are. But let's face it, you're going to be spending 1,000, they're spending 3 to 4,000. We're just gonna be honest here. This is what we can provide for you. So, we don't promise the moon and then not deliver. We try to have a great relationship that is completely transparent with regards to what the expectations should be. Now, if you're in rural somewhere ever and there's no competition, hey, I can say, with this kind of budget, I can guarantee you we'll have you on peak one. We'll have you at the top of the list. And then there's also a sense where a lot of small businesses don't understand sales and marketing go hand in hand, right? So if I'm getting your phone to ring, but you're not answering the phone, or if I'm getting your form filled out and you're getting these emails, but you're not responding for 3 or 4 days, and then you're upset because you're not gaining more business, like, we need to talk about it. So what we do is we meet with our advertising companies on an ongoing basis. We meet with them every 2 to 3 weeks. Hey, how's your phone going? Hey, how's the form happening? What's going on in your business? Are you happy? Are you growing? Are you busy? Do you need to decrease your budget because you're so busy? All your trucks and plumbers are out doing their thing, or that kind of thing. Or you need to increase, your budget because yeah, things are happening, but you really need to increase it. So we do this on a regular basis. It's just part of our service. And so I have a dedicated guy. He does all of our pay-per-click clients, and that's his focus. I'm also certified. I work in there as well, but he is in there all day, every day, working through those, meeting with our clients. Because let's face it, advertising is expensive and it can become really a dead end if you're not watching it. You can lose a lot of money very quickly.
That's very true. So something that I actually have a question about then is it seems that you're very communicative with your clients on an ongoing basis, as you said. How do you balance work and life in those situations? Because if you want to be readily available to your clients, do you have any kind of boundaries set in place so that you're not too available, if that makes sense?
Sure. That makes Well, I mean, it's a great question. And it makes sense for if you bring on so much work and you're not organized, you can't see whether or not you're too busy quite often.
Mhm.
And so I'm kind of a obsessive guy over organization. We use ClickUp, project management. All of our team clocks in. So we know how much time we're spending. We give weekly reports. We make sure that, um, you know, we're actually on target for meeting the goals that we have for our clients versus just, keep taking more and more and more. We can handle it. We can do it. And obviously when I need to bring more people on, we do that, and we have, really good, procedures, so that way when we bring somebody in, it's not like we're starting from square one. We have video screen recordings of how to set up certain things, how to do different procedures within our company so that we can actually adjust and grow without a lot of pain and suffering and time. And then everybody suffers because we're bringing somebody on and we have to train them and it's a lot of time. So we do a lot of screen recordings also for our clients. So if they're like, hey, I want to know a little bit more about, our Google Ads account. How do I check, what the average cost per click is or whatever. We'll record a screen. We use ClickUp's clips and we'll record the screen. We'll email it to them. They can watch it. They can comment and ask us questions. And so getting into this environment where we're available a lot, quite often is minimized or we mitigate kind of over our meetings by doing screen recordings and answering questions that clients would have, rather than, making sure that, we call them up or whatever. And on occasion we need to call them because it's just quicker and easier. But quite often people want to be empowered. They want to get into the back end of their website. They want to look at, various, analytics on their dashboard that we have for them and that kind of thing. So we'll do a screen recording. We'll send it off to them and answer their question. It saves us a lot of time. I mean, and then also within our team, so somebody in the team will ask a question of me and it's like quite often it's like, oh, we need to have a meeting or whatever. No, we can answer that question with a screen recording and just say, okay, here's what I was talking about. And this is what I was thinking. And so ClickUp has become a pretty good tool. In the beginning, I was like, oh man, it's a little hard to learn. It's a lot of no, when you have so many features, it's like, could become a little overwhelming. We've now spent the time, gone through training, and that's another part of our company is I really emphasize training. I tell our whole team, if you want to take a class, you want to take a course, you want to buy whatever, let's just do it. Let's get it going.
I think that's a really important thing to value, especially consistent learning in the marketing space is so important because it is constantly evolving every single day drastically. So it's good to keep your team updated on those certain things. I do really like marketing because it's something that you're constantly learning from. I enjoy learning, so it's really nice to be constantly adapting to stuff. Um, so I've also noticed that, in to what you said about clips, and creating those for your clients, I noticed that's actually a trend with agencies that help small businesses, and that it's incredibly helpful, especially for a lot of small businesses that have been around for a while, and maybe the owner, or founder is, a little on the older end. Clips are really helpful to do very specific things. I don't know if, you do it for things such as this, but I was talking to someone a while ago about them making a video just to show how to do files, like how to move files to different things. And I think it seems silly, but there's so many people that are not technologically savvy. Like I am not technologically savvy. I know how to do basic things because I grew up having computer classes. Um, but other than that, I can definitely feel for those people that want to grow their business and improve things, but they don't know how to do some of these basic things. And it's kind of hard to be constantly available for them to do like smaller, tedious tasks. So it's nice to have these tools.
One of the applications that we find a lot, that is helpful, we use it a lot, and that is going over the analytics screen. I mean, what is the bounce rate? How do I know that people have called and those kind of things? And so we'll go over, uh, quite often an ad account. what's going on and what's your average cost per click, and we'll use a video for it. Because quite often we want to meet with them every 2 to 3 weeks and go over the account, but they're too busy. And so what we'll do is we'll just send them a video recording of their current analytics and their for their website, and then also for their ad account, and show them here's what's going on, how's it going, just still, proper budget. Are these still the zip codes that you want to focus on right now? Is this really the keywords that we're going after? You have any new offerings, any new services, any new special deals? And then we'll send them a video. And it's really great because it does save a ton of time, because when they get, off of the job or whatever as a small business owner, then they'll watch that video and then they'll answer it on an email. And it's perfect. And we just put it right into our ClickUp task management system. And then we can handle it within a reasonable amount of time. One of the things that I'm kind of a big kind of fan of, and that is the, zero inbox and getting things done kind of methodology, where if you've got all of these tasks to do and you don't organize them properly, you have a sense of ongoing stress every day because you don't really know what you have to do. But if you can put it away and organize it, then your brain can focus and think of what you're currently working on or any new developments or those kind of things. And so I try to help our team as well through ClickUp, and just to be able, and that way when they're off, they're off. They don't have to worry and stress about all the things that they have to do when they're on the weekends and those kind of things. And so it's a great tool. Before ClickUp, we use Basecamp. Before Basecamp, we use Copper. So I've been through the gamut on a ton of different. We've also used Todoist back in the day. We've also used just Google's tasks, and ClickUp now is kind of that robust task management system where when we're working on a task, it integrates to Evernote or EverHour. So we clock in, and that way when we bill our clients, we can go ahead and just, it's all integrated right in there. And so our administrator doesn't have to like figure out and call everybody, how much time did you spend with this or whatever. It's pretty easy to do. It's all integrated.
That's really nice to have it so organized like that. I think it's especially helpful to do those analytics videos, not only for time saving needs in case you can't make a call together that works for both of you, but also I think that as much as people want to see improvement, they might not understand a lot of the terminology used in marketing, and I think it's really helpful to be able to break things down for them in a video because they can also reference it, which is really helpful because I'm sure they're having their own meetings where they go over these kind of statistics with the entire company or business or whatever it may be. Um, and I think that that's something that is probably crucial in explaining those things to the rest of the business. Um,
Yeah, we find that two different kinds of clients. One, they want to know everything. They want to just roll up their sleeves and really understand and learn and maybe even participate. So we have kind of a do it with you approach with those clients. We even have a DIY where they can just totally do it on their own approach for a number of clients. But then we also have that other type of client. It's like, I just want to know that it's working. Meet with me on a regular basis. I have a few questions on performance, but other than that, take care of it. And so we actually have all different kinds of involvement, which we try to empower our clients. I think the more that they know, the more that they trust and they see that we're actually working hard for them. We don't just say one thing and then smoke and mirrors and they don't understand kind of thing. On the other hand, there's the typical client where it's like, all I want to know is performance. It's working. We'll keep the arrangement going. If it's not, we got a problem. And so, we try to be as transparent as possible, but sometimes clients just, hey, I just want to know it's working. That's all.
it's nice to adapt to different clients' communication styles as well, because I don't think that there's a one size fits all. Of course, there's definitely if you have a certain amount of clients, sometimes it's difficult to adapt to each individual preference. But um, I like the ability to adjust because as you said, some clients prefer certain lines of communication, some don't, or different ways to be communicated with, and some don't clearly do not have the time to be yet actively have conversations. Sometimes they just want to know things when they need to know them, and if it's all there, then they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think, a little transparency here on my part. It's like, um, you know, I'll take on like any kind of client if the sales end of our work is there. In other words, they're interested in answering their phone, they're interested in following up on those leads, they're interested in, what we're doing for them. A lot of times companies will say, well, we only want this type of client, anything over 5 grand, anything over 10 grand. That's where we're at. Cause that's where we're in. And call me stupid, but I just love the small business owner and I'm a glutton for punishment. I'll take on that therapist that's just getting started. I'll take on that, plumber that, yeah, they've had some rough roads and they've had some other digital marketing companies and they just don't want to spend the money that they've been spending, but they know they need digital marketing. They know they need someone to handle their website and all of that. And I'll take them on. And I have to tell you, it's like, look at our reputation. We have well over 100 5-star reviews with the 3 different locations that we're focused on right now. And we worked hard for that. And primarily, as you mentioned before, learning that customer or that client's communication style, adapting and becoming relational with them. I think that's probably the most important thing. Once someone said, someone needs to know, like, and trust you. Well, the hard part is that trust, obviously there has to be performance. I mean, if you're not doing what they signed up for and you're failing at your job, that's one thing. But if you're not communicating, you're not listening to them, you're not engaging them where they're at and what they really want to bring to the table as that sales part of marketing, then, um, you know, they should fire you because that trust is not going to be built. That trust, and we're not perfect. We've made mistakes. More transparency here, right? When you manage 130 websites and you have two Unix servers, that you lease through InMotion hosting, and you have to make sure that those servers are running, and you have to communicate if there's any maintenance going on or what. We're not perfect, but we've been in business 10 years primarily because people trust us. And I think that's, when I started this company 10 years ago, I didn't start it to make a buck. I didn't. I'm 61 right now and starting my fifth career, not because the prior four were unsuccessful. It's just I really wanted to get into being an asset for small businesses. But when I started this company, I didn't start it to make a buck. I started it to make a living. And making a living, in my opinion, means treating people how you would like to be treated if you were approaching them for the service. When I lay my head down to bed at night, I don't go, oh man, I hope that guy I ripped off, and took advantage of doesn't, leave me a bad review. It's like, no, I ask you, don't worry about it. I feel good about what me and my team have been doing for the last 10 years. And so that's rewarding more than anything. I mean, my wife works a great job. She and I are both, very busy professionals. She's a PhD. So I'm not stressed out about money. I'm more interested in really helping people. And obviously I got to make a living. I got to pay my own bills and those kind of things. And so money is a part of it, but you know, it's something I take great pride in and helping people building their business. I got to tell you, one particular client 9 years ago, I picked them up and they had one part-time employee and he was really struggling to keep his business going and he was like frustrated. And I had to, and obviously, results, whatever, 9 years now, he's got 9 employees, he's got 2 trucks, he's got 2 locations now, and he's just super busy and doing great. And those are the kind of things. I mean, his whole family has changed, obviously, economically, because we've gotten together. I'm not going to take full credit of all of his because he's got to have a good reputation. He's got to provide a great service. He's got to be that person that people rely on and trust. But I've exposed him and our company has exposed him to more and more people that have now resonated in his service and his message. And so But it's exciting to be a part of that. It's really exciting, and I find that very rewarding. You to be involved with people, and I talk with them on a regular basis, and hearing him, and it's great. So wonderful.
That makes me really happy to hear. I also, I grew up working at my mom's store, and she owned a small business, like a consignment shop when we lived in New Jersey. Um, and I think that or she could have really been helped by having a digital marketing agency back, I don't know, that was about like 10 years ago. So not as extremely popular as it is now. She did a lot of things herself. And I really appreciate hearing your story and how you want to support these people because I think that not a lot of people are looking out for them. And it's nice to know that there's people out there that are. And I do agree that, you sleep better at night when you know that you're doing all you can to do good things. And I, picking,
And then we have some other really exciting things for nonprofits. We offer them straight off the bat a 20% discount off of all of our services. We also do some total free services for people out doing things that are just amazing, like digging wells in the Philippines and other things. And then here is our most exciting thing is we're actually currently sponsoring 10 children throughout the world through Compassion International. And so literally a monthly taking care of their schooling and their meals and everything. And so giving back is just is a part of that making a living, right? Because especially the kids, being involved in the next generation. I mean, I'm 61. I'm not going to live forever, right? And so just being able to look towards that next generation with a sense of involvement, not just hope, but involvement, is very rewarding. Very rewarding.
I definitely agree with that. Something that I've done as long as I can remember is volunteer with nonprofits. And something that I learned joining Penji is that we also work with them and we provide our services for $1 a month, which is something that made me really happy. I always envisioned myself working with nonprofits and not in the corporate world at all. And um, I'm happy that I can at least work for a company that does something relatively close to that. And it's really nice to know. So I definitely really resonate with your feelings on that. And it makes me happy to hear because I know that there's a lot of agencies that don't do stuff like that, and that's okay too, I suppose. But um I know that I think there's this kind of mentality around doing good or charity is not going to make you money. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. Again, that doesn't have to be your most important thing. But of course, yeah, again, as you said, people have to pay the bills. But I don't think that doing charity or doing things for good is a negative thing for business. 9 out of 10 times. I think that's just what people view it as because they don't have the foresight to see how helpful it is for other people and how when people see you doing good, they, want to work with you more and want to do work with you because they think that you actually care and are a good person. And that shouldn't be incentive to do good things. Um, but it's nice to acknowledge that because I think that when people have somewhat of a business mindset, they don't think, that that's something on their radar, or should be, and I really like hearing this because that's really important to me.
We have a tradition whenever we bring somebody on, we tell them to choose a child out of Compassion International's worldwide list of kids that need to be sponsored. And we tell them it's not your responsibility. You don't have to write to them. So it functions in two ways. It keeps me from just randomly hiring people because obviously there's an ongoing, commitment to sponsor a child somewhere. And then the other aspect is it brings a sense of fulfillment to the team, knowing that, hey, the company they work with is making a difference in the next generation of children throughout the world. I mean, we're all over. It's just wonderful. We have kids all over the world and we get letters from them, and then we encourage the team to write back, but they're not required. It's not. So we actually integrated into ClickUp. We have all the kids there, and so we post their letters there, and people can read them. Mostly they're just pictures because a lot of them are really young, so they scribble, and draw pictures. But it's a wonderful thing, and we don't. It's funny because this is the most I've actually talked about it to anybody outside of our group. We don't make a big deal about it. I think it's down in our footer, giving back or whatever. But really, I think as someone who's, I've got 8 grandkids and 3 kids, I've done just some amazing things in life. And I think in the business world, I think one of the wonderful things is to actually use my business for more than just earning, a salary and being involved in certain things. That's why I went to Penji's nonprofit or programs to give back, giving to nonprofits, and I saw the list. And I started checking out like Miracles in Motion Outreach, and I just loved it. I'm just like, hey, that's my truck right there, Penji. Way to go, man! That's awesome.
I appreciate that, and one of my favorite podcasts, not to take anything away from this, but, is doing Unified Purpose because I love talking to nonprofits about their missions. It makes me so unbelievably happy. The last podcast that I did with a nonprofit, I cried really badly. It's actually kind of embarrassing, but they just had the most wholesome message, and they had someone on that they've helped, which, like, broke my heart, but also healed it at the same time, and it was just so wonderful. So, again, I really like hearing this because I don't get to hear this often from agencies, not that they're doing anything wrong, I think, but I just really do, um I really do believe in supporting a cause and not just doing something for gaining monetary value. Of course, when you're starting an agency, I completely understand that's hard to uh, do things like that. But when you're at a certain point, I think it's really important, and I think that it not only gives me hope that more people can do stuff like this, but also that um, I know. I just hope that it creates a trend one day. That more people will do things like this because well, they have the ability to and they can, and it doesn't take that much.
I think Warren Buffett said that one of the critical things for people in employment, especially the younger generations that are coming up, is that they would have significance in their work. That it's not just how much they make, it's that they're actually doing something that is making a difference in their world. And so I think we're doing that not only for small businesses building their business, but also the fact that we're involved in other areas like digging wells in the Philippines and, sponsoring children and some other outreaches that we've done. We actually have worked with other organizations. There's one called Something Catchy in Eastern Washington where a buddy owns a nice fishing boat and he takes veterans and youth out on free fishing excursions. And it's like, I'll do your website. You bet. Or we do ours and, something catchy. And so they go out and they take people who would not normally have the opportunity for just an amazing day to go out and catch salmon and kokanee and all these different fishes. It's great. It's great.
Oh, that makes me really happy, and I really like learning about new nonprofits. So maybe I'll give them an email if they ever want to come on the podcast and talk about their nonprofit.
Yeah, Jason's a great guy. Jason is a water tester. That's what he does for a living. So he's not paid by the, he's not paid by the nonprofit. It's just something he does. And so, yeah, somethingcatchy.org is their website.
I heard recently that Washington has some of the best water quality in the country, which
I live on
breaking
Whidbey.
my
I live on the island, and it's amazing. Two eagles nests here on my property, and it's phenomenal. Bald eagles, oh yeah, it's
They're beautiful.
yeah, yeah, we love it here. It's now. Granted, last week, 50-mile-an-hour windstorm, but it was over in 2 days. But yes, but yeah, I was originally from Southern California, grew up there. I miss the surf. I do miss the surf because I grew up surfing, but out here on the Puget Sound, it's an amazing, amazing environment. So green and lush, and the water quality is, yeah, amazing out here.
Best tap water I've ever tasted. I just visited my friend in Washington, actually. So
Uh,
it was a really great experience. First time I've ever been there. Probably one of my she lives near Seattle. It was probably the one of my favorite cities that I've ever visited or been in. It's beautiful. There's so many things to do. I I really enjoyed being there, and it's I don't know. I really like the weather. I know that some people probably hate it. But personally really liked it. So I really love it there. So it must be really nice to live.
yeah, it's great. It's great. My wife wanted to move up here, so I just followed her along. They're doing
Well, that's sweet. Well, this is actually all the time we have today. We went a little bit over, but I had a really great time, so I don't want to cut anything off. I think this was perfect. But I really appreciate you coming on with me today. Again, this was absolutely lovely. I learned a lot. I got to talk about nonprofits, which is always one of my favorite things to do, so I appreciate that. And thank you for being such a genuine person. And sharing about your agency because I think that I would hope a lot more agencies model themselves after how much you care about different things.
well, it's been a pleasure. And, you know, hearing another one of my tribe working for Penji out there. You're doing a great job. And like I said, I was able to, kind of look around at your nonprofits, watch a few of your other podcasts, and I really enjoyed. I've done a few of these, and I think this one's right up there on my favorite. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And for everyone at home listening or watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more wholesome content like this, hopefully in the future. Thank you so much.